And then she's just like, or he, I don't know, whatever the hell that thing was, it's just belting out and I was like, what in the hell am I listening to?
Vince probably rolled some heads. You keep it up or I'll introduce you to Big Daddy Cool. Oh,
Or
Kevin Nash?
I
No.
just did. I wonder if Pamela got introduced to him.
Oh, you know it.
I don't know. I'm thinking Razor Ramon might be on my list of favorites.
Oh, he's always been on my list of favorites.
Yep, I'm thinking about even getting a Funko Pop.
After watching the match, I don't have a problem that the match happened. It's just that it's the main event. And we just saw Razor. We just saw Shawn and Diesel. We just saw Bret Hart. You're telling me that Bam Bam losing to an outsider is what you want your fans to see at the end of your biggest show of the year?
But for now, I think it is time for a retro review.
Our Wrestling Rewind.
And this week it takes us to WrestleMania 11.
Dun, 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 dun. And then Linda McMahon's theme music begins. And they show brief clips of WrestleManias 1 through 10. And Pamela Anderson, Jonathan Taylor Thomas, Jenny McCarthy, some dipshit from NYPD Blue are the celebrity guests. And the celebrities are shown backstage with various wrestlers. And Salt and Pepper are the musical guest. I was really hoping they weren't going to sing America the Beautiful. And spoiler alert, they don't sing shit because Peacock decided that we don't get to see their musical performance.
Okay, that's what's happened. When they were at the main event and everybody was walking past them, I'm like, who the hell is that? All I know is I see some thick thighs. And then Bam Bam was like talking shit to him. Like, aren't those just the cheerleaders? And it's like, oh, that's Salt and Pepper. It's like, oh, well, where the hell were they the whole show?
Well, they mentioned that they did some sort of performance. I can't imagine why you would cut out Salt and Pepper.
I know, if you're going to choose not to cut out something musically.
Oh, we'll get to
let's
that.
Cut out.
LT's All-Star team is also featured. Mongo McMichael was the only one I really recognized.
Yeah, I mean, some of the faces were familiar, but
yeah,
I put the names, and then when they said the names, I was like, oh, yeah. I mean, some of them were not who I thought.
Well, then we're taken to the Hartford Civic Center, which is in Connecticut, and they do America the Beautiful, and some androgynous Special Olympian named Kathy Huey is their singer, and I have no idea what was going on with its eyes or body motions in general. And I will say that of all the individuals that have done America the Beautiful, Ray Charles, Aretha Franklin, Gladys Knight, Willie Nelson, Little Richard, Kathy Huey is at least better than Rockin' Robin.
I don't know. This is pretty bad. At one point, they're starting the American the Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm on my phone getting the notes ready. So I'm kind of tuned out. And then she's just like, or he, I don't know, whatever the hell that thing was. It's just with the, it's just belting out. And I was like, what in the hell am I listening to? Oh, no. I was like, good God, this is bad.
The eyes were, because it was like Undertaker eyes.
Yeah, it's like, she probably, she or he, whatever, meant well. And I genuinely don't know. I mean, I didn't even have to name at that point until like right now. So I'm sure she means well, but Jesus.
Yeah, it was
setting the tone for not a good show.
I'm going to have to send you Rockin' Robins again because I think you're having recency bias.
I don't know.
Anyway, Vince McMahon and Jerry Lawler open the show. And they try to sell us on the main event, which is LT and Bam Bam Bigelow, which I wasn't excited for at all.
I wasn't either.
Then the British Bulldog and Lex Luger, also known as the Allied Powers, face Jacob and Eli Blue, who are called the Blue Brothers. The Blue Brothers, god damn. And they're with Uncle Zebekiah. And Bulldog and Luger have the most badass theme song ever, at least to me.
I liked it. It like went from the Bulldogs theme and then it transitioned to another theme, and then every once in a while it'd go back to the Bulldogs theme. I liked it, yeah.
It was very epic. And Jacob and Eli Blue are better known as the Harris twins, or you may know them as Skull and 8 Ball from the Disciples of Apocalypse.
Okay. because I didn't know these guys at all. But
You know him,
that
you
helps
just didn't
me.
know him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing really to write home about with this match. It seems like just a showcase for Luger and Bulldog. If I heard them correctly, it seemed like they just formed as a tag team. So it was more of a showcase to get them familiar with each other.
Yeah, I believe so. And then yeah, they said, "Oh, they're going to be a team for a long time. Get used to it." So they said on commentary.
Yeah, okay. And the Blue Brothers, they did Twin Magic after Luger hit his forearm. And it didn't matter though, because Bulldog did a sunset flip and it got the win. And then Zebekiah bitched after the match saying that Luger and Bulldog pinned the wrong guy.
See, classic heel.
Yeah.
They're bitching about pinning the wrong guy, but they're the one that tried to cheat.
And then Vince brings up Pamela Anderson, and they cut to her dressing room where the NYPD dipshit is supposed to interview her. And the dipshit talks for 15 seconds to no one because the audio is fucked up. And then Jenny McCarthy appears for some reason, and then they just abandon the segment. And then Vince and Lawler, they're confused as fuck as to why Jenny McCarthy is in Pamela Anderson's dressing room. And then Lawler says he wants to snatch a King Kong Dumbo sign from a fan.
Yeah, the audio issues were kind of out there.
It was a clusterfuck to begin with.
Yeah. So they did this weird, they did it the whole night too. This weird thing where right after the match, they would interview like the loser. And then I think it was like the first or the second time they did it. They were literally standing in pitch black. Like the lights weren't on at all. And they're like doing this interview and it's complete darkness.
Yeah, it seemed like they did not have their shit together at all. The audio issues, it seemed like the timing was off. It seemed like they were all kind of frantic.
You kept hearing someone in the background behind the curtain. Like you'd hear their communications. I heard someone talking to like over the earpiece.
Yeah.
They were all over the place.
But it settled down.
Yeah, they got it fixed like the second half.
Vince probably rolled some heads. You keep it up or I'll introduce you to Big Daddy Cool. Oh, Kevin Nash? No.
I wonder if Pamela got introduced to him.
Oh, you know it. That was a condition.
You want
to be a star?
Yeah.
Well, I am on Baywatch. You know, the most popular TV show at the time because of my titties.
They pretty much broke the whole show around her, that being WrestleMania. And I will say, when she finally showed up, I remembered why. I was like, man, they're really hyping her up. She wasn't even all that. And then she came out, I was like, oh, I remember why now.
I was more into Jenny McCarthy myself.
Well, she's pretty good too.
I wouldn't complain either way. I'd be lucky just to play just the tip.
Well, it did take me back to some days, Scooby-Doo days.
Yeah.
Getting the Playboys and then figuring out the Playboys are like softcore. They're tasteful.
I don't want something that has respect.
Yeah, they're artsy and shit. You got the Hustler and they're like, really?
I don't want these naked women to have their dignity.
Yeah. Why would I want that?
It ruins it if they maintain it.
Yeah.
So Jeff Jarrett and Razor Ramon have a match. Jeff Jarrett is with the roadie. Razor Ramon is accompanied by the 1-2-3 Kid. And this is for the Intercontinental Championship. And earlier, Jarrett beat Razor in a match after getting chopped by the roadie. And that's how he initially lost his title. So this is the rematch for that. And 1-2-3 Kid and Ramon, they do a pre-match interview. And they still have audio issues. And it's almost like that's when they fixed it. And 1-2-3 Kid basically says Razor's got Jarrett's number. And then he's going to punch Roadie in the nose if he gets involved.
Wearing a Kimura, by the way.
Oh, I didn't get to that. But yeah. 1-2-3 Kid and Razor come out. Razor is pretending to be Cuban while 1-2-3 Kid is pretending to be Chinese. And then both of them hit the ring. Razor beats on Jarrett while 1-2-3 Kid just cheers him on. And then Razor stops while his pyro goes off and he poses. So he's the new Hulk Hogan.
Yes. And you know, since it seems to be a constant thing, I kind of hope they do that one time with Cody Rhodes.
What's that?
Like I want him to, get attacked early. Music's still playing. He fends off the bad guy for a second. Then it's like, wow! whoa, and he's doing the whoa, and the fireworks are going off. Like, just give it to us one time.
Does a clothesline and just stops mid move.
Yeah, he gets him out of the ring, and then time to perfectly wow. I don't know. I just want to see it once.
I will say, I think Razor had my favorite pyro of all time. Very simple, but just the visual of how he stands with the Razor pose.
Yeah.
And
I think I like Sid, Psycho Sid's, but I don't know. I'm thinking Razor Ramon might be on my list of favorites.
Oh, he's always been on my list of favorites.
He was on my list like when I was a kid, but just like rewatching him was like, yep, I'm thinking about even getting a Funko Pop of Razor Ramon Funko Pop.
When I used to play wrestler, he was the first guy I pretended to be.
Oh.
I used to do the toothpicks and everything. And I got yelled at because people stepped on the toothpicks.
I didn't do the flicking of the toothpick, but I did do the just having a toothpick in the mouth. No, I did flick it, not at people. But, hey, yo, and then do the flick.
And I tried to do the Razor's Edge.
Yeah, that was always my favorite finisher, too.
Mm-hmm. It must really hurt because he never does it.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't really had time to do it. All of his matches, he hasn't really had time to do it. He used to do it against those jobbers, though, and they would sell it really well.
That's true. So Razor's Pyro goes off. Then he goes for a Razor's Edge early. But then Rhodey pulls Jarrett out of it. And then Jarrett says, fuck this, and tries to leave. But then he's held off by 1-2-3 Kid's karate. Razor slammed Road Dogg's face into the ring post, and it fucked him up real bad. And I noticed, like, at one point, actually later, but the ring posts have no padding whatsoever. So there's no room for error. Not like the pussy ring posts they have today where it's all hollowed out and LED lighted.
Yeah, probably it's just straight steel.
Probably sprays you with a scent of lavender every time you go near it.
Probably.
1-2-3 Kid tried to interfere, and then Jarrett sent his little kung fu ass into the guardrail. And then 1-2-3 Kid tried to play it off like he wasn't just launched like a human dart with only Jarrett's legs. And Razor hits a belly to back superplex, and he fucks up his knee. And then he just decides to go for the Razor's Edge. So then the Roadie chops Razor again, just like their last match, only this time the ref sees it, and Razor wins by disqualification. And then after the match, 1-2-3 Kid just goes full ninja assassin. And then Jarrett gets the little fucker, him in a figure four. Ramon goes after Jarrett, and then Jarrett and Roadie run. And then Jarrett gets back into the ring specifically to hit 1-2-3 Kid.
Of course.
And Razor chases Jarrett off. And Jarrett celebrates with the title and a bloody nose. They mentioned that 1-2-3 Kid bloodied his nose, so it would make sense that he went just for him.
Yeah, the 1-2-3 Kids. I don't know if that was his gimmick at the point, because the 1-2-3 Kid I remember had the green one piece. So I don't remember this kimono wearing 1-2-3 Kid.
The 1-2-3 Kid I remember, he had the black one piece with the ones and the twos and the threes.
Oh, yeah, there's that one too. I mean, he did karate then, if I remember. Or at least he had the kicks, like the jumping spin back kick thing. But yeah, I don't know what he was doing here.
It was a great match.
Yeah, the match was good. I don't know why. I thought it was going to turn into like a tag team match for some reason. I guess like
a title match is going to turn into a tag team match?
Yeah, like early when they tried to leave and then Kid is holding him off. It's like, it feels like this is about to turn into a tag team match.
I don't think they would do that maybe for a non-title match.
But they also did, and I believe this would be like one of the first times they did like a actual DQ. Like they've done DQs, but this one, like outside guy getting in the ring to do the finish.
I don't know. I'd have to look back. You might be right.
Because there's been DQs from like getting caught cheating or getting counted out or stuff like that. But from what I remember, I don't remember seeing
first time somebody's actually done a run-in.
Yeah.
Papa Shango did, sort of.
Oh, yeah. We've already seen Papa Shango. So this makes even less sense.
Yep.
Because I thought, anyway. We'll get there.
Okay. Well, Vince tries to go back to Pamela Anderson's dressing room, and the audio issues are fixed. Everyone but Pamela Anderson is there. And I feel like this was pre-taped because it seemed like the same exact shit we just saw. Or was it just me?
It's a little bit different.
Okay. And Sid is Michael's new bodyguard. And he says that Diesel is waiting in the locker room to puke out of fear fear, because all of Diesel's dreams have become nightmares. Had to do some research. One, I can't believe the NYPD dipshit acted for so long. And two, remember that burn notice where Michael started working for that small time crook boss and he had to show him how to be a crook?
Yeah, I was going to tell you that, but I didn't know
Okay.
if you would remember. That's the first thing I remember too. Oh, we're going to get pinched. You mean unless we do this?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Good shit.
Yeah, that was that guy.
Either way, he was still a dipshit.
Right.
The next up is King Kong Bundy versus The Undertaker. Bundy is with DiBiase, and The Undertaker is with Paul Bearer. This started out because Bundy surprised Taker at the Royal Rumble. IRS stole an empty urn after decking Paul Bearer. And then Taker is Taker now. He's got the full entrance. He raised the lights for the first time. They got the pageantry and the storm sounds.
It was awesome.
It was. Taker gets dumped outside right next to DiBiase, who's been holding the urn the whole time. And then he just simply takes the urn away and he gives it to Paul Bearer so he can do some weird Indiana Jones shit with it.
I know. He took the lid off and he's like spinning in circles and the Undertaker's on his knee.
Yeah.
And the crowd also popped pretty big for him getting the urn back too.
Well, they're probably like, thank God this shit's over.
Well, I don't know, because they were also chanting rest in peace later. So it's like they wanted to cheer for the Undertaker. They just didn't know how. With his gimmick, it's like, what do we do here?
Well, Taker regains the power of the urn, and then he starts whooping the shit out of Bundy. So then DiBiase calls out Kama, the Supreme Fighting Machine, who decks Paul Bearer, and then he takes the urn back. But then Taker grabs Kama by his forehead, so he can't leave. Later, he does leave, and he says he's going to turn the urn into a necklace. Bundy takes the advantage. Yeah. Bundy takes the advantage of a distracted Taker and kicks his ass for a while. Then Taker, he takes the avalanche slam from Bundy, and that wakes him up. He hits Bundy with a very iffy scoop slam, and then his flying clothesline for the win. And I wonder if the original plan was for the tombstone, but he kind of audibled. Like, oh, this motherfucker's fatter than I thought.
I don't know. I was actually kind of excited to see if he was going to be able to get him up in a tombstone.
And we found out he couldn't.
And yeah. And then did the regular big man thing of just doing some kind of standard move to knock him off his feet. And that's enough.
Yeah.
I'll just say I didn't like the finish. I liked the other part of the match, but the finish, I didn't like it. The flying clothesline, Bundy looked like an idiot, especially because he literally got right up after the three.
Mm-hmm.
And then left the ring, and he's like yelling at DiBiase as they're leaving. He pretty much no-sold the clothesline. And it's like, well, if you just got counted down for it, why are you not selling it a little bit more?
Right.
I just found that off. But Undertaker now, I believe 4-0.
I enjoyed it because one, King Kong Bundy's a legend, so he's returning. I like that the Undertaker seems to have found his niche as far as his gimmick goes. He's fully committed. I didn't like the outside interference, but he seems to have embraced the creatures of the night now because his urn's lost.
He gets it back, right? Or was it? That was like a comically big urn too. And I remember him having like a much smaller urn, so I think he gets it back. As a matter of fact, I remember him winning a title and then them doing the light show thing again with the urn. So I know he gets it back. Kama, by the way, the Supreme Fighting Machine. I don't remember that gimmick. This used to be Papa Shango, and then he will go on to become the Godfather. So if this is who we're talking about here, Kama.
Yeah, it wasn't a very long gimmick.
And I would say this is his worst gimmick between Papa Shango and the Godfather.
Okay.
The Godfather was obviously his most popular role, but I remember Papa Shango and he was putting curses on people.
Yeah, that's true. The Burn Donus dipshit is back on our TV screen, and he's still looking for Pamela Anderson. And then Mongo, McMichael, Reggie White, Chris Spielman, and two other dudes talk shit about DiBiase stable. And then the Burn Notice dipshit runs into Bob Backlund and Jonathan Taylor Thomas playing chess. And then Backlund's confused by the cameras. And then he doesn't know who Pamela Anderson is. And then he loses the chess match to Jonathan Taylor Thomas and flips his shit.
Yeah, he kept saying, "That's what's wrong with America today." After everything,
Yeah.
you think you can just pull up on everybody and shoot them on the camera? Oh, that's what's wrong with America today. Everybody just takes advantage when someone's not looking.
Owen Hart and a mystery opponent versus the Smoking Guns for the WWF Tag Team Championship precedes that. And Owen comes out and he says his partner has done something that he's always wanted to do, and that's beat his brother Brett for the WWF title. So naturally, Yokozuna comes out. And the size of Yokozuna is that of a small planet. Goddamn. The Smoking Guns, who should have been called the Flaming Guns, say it's a shock that Yoko is Owen's partner, but they're confident that they can win. And this is pre-wellness failing Billy Gunn. He don't even have the veins yet.
Yeah, Bart Gunn was much more bigger.
Yeah. And Billy sold Yoko leg drop perfectly. He's lying face down, and Yoko just sits on his head, and then he just starts convulsing like he has brain damage. And he just starts rolling, and then he rolls out of the ring, and he just flops.
I think everybody sold it perfectly.
True.
He sold it. The crowd was like, "Oh!" And then he who shall not be named said, "It's over."
Yoko just looks sticky. Like he looked like he had a film just over him. And eventually Yoko hits a bonsai drop on Billy. Bart breaks up the pin, and then he gets dumped outside the ring. Owen gets tagged in. He drags Billy into the middle of the ring, and it looks like he's going to go for the sharpshooter, but he says never mind, and then he just pins Billy Gunn for the win. And I think this was just a way to reestablish Yoko as the monster. But he kind of just looked like a slob.
Well, his first match back, I don't know where he was, but
if I remember correctly, he was supposed to be losing weight.
Well, that didn't work.
Nope.
It came back worse.
The opposite.
I mean, he was pretty much done. He was leaning on the ropes. He couldn't even stand up straight. He still got the bonsai drop off, so this time he didn't fall.
True.
But yeah, he was definitely worn down.
He looked like what I imagine I looked like when we did Gassers.
Yeah, just like, I'm done. I can't do anything.
Yeah. No more, please.
Yeah.
You know, when you run and you're just flopping.
Or when your head's doing all the moving.
Next up, we have a Bam Bam Bigelow interview. And before that, they show an air blimp. And the King talks about 1, 2, 3 kids' pimples. And then Bam Bam goes on to claim that his match against LT is the biggest of his career. And it all started at the Royal Rumble, as they all seem to do. And Bam Bam shoved LT. And then Bam Bam and LT get into it at some other event. And Bam Bam says he's in great shape and he's ready to take LT down. And he says, no way is he going to be known as the man who lost to Lawrence Taylor. And Bam Bam says his $1 million team will cancel out LT's team of footballers. Yep.
They did. Looking at the match, though, it did seem like I understood what they were going for, because Lawrence Taylor was like in his prime. Oh, he's a little bit past his prime, but you know, he's still dominant in the NFL. He's still Lawrence freaking Taylor.
It'd be like if Ray Lewis, like even Ray Lewis today would still be Ray Lewis.
Yeah, so I can see how it was like a big deal at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And going with the video package thing that they did at the beginning, if you notice, everything they showed was about the celebrities. So,
unfortunately,
well, it seemed like, well, we haven't seen it yet, but I feel like after this WrestleMania, it turns to more of a wrestling WrestleMania. I don't know, other than just like riding the coattails of celebrities.
I don't know. I can't remember the celebrity involvement. I tend to just shut that shit out. So,
well, they showed it at the beginning. Every highlight they showed for celebrity involvement. So they showed like the guy who Piper put the extinguisher out on. They showed Little Richard. They showed Aretha Franklin. They showed the guy who was kicking with the Go-Go Girls or whatever the hell.
Liberace?
Yeah, that guy. They showed him. So yeah, they just showed all the celebrity stuff. Anyway, I don't know.
Bob Backlund, Mr. Bob Backlund versus Bret Hart in an I Quit match. And the special guest referee is Roddy Piper. He's doing it 2 years in a row. Bret comes out, he's slapping hands, and someone actually stabs or scratches one of his hands, and he looks pained all the way to the ring. It looked kind of weird. You can just see him go, fuck! And it's amazing how much drama an actual live microphone can give a match like this. Unlike Ice Train and Norton. And I like how they played into Roddy Piper and Bret Hart's WrestleMania history. Although I think they're a year too late because they should have done that last year.
Right, yeah.
And then Piper was fantastic again. Bret had Backlund in a leg lock, and Piper asked Backlund if he quits. Backlund says, no! And Piper, he kind of takes a beat, and he asks Bret if he quits. And Bret looks at him and he's like, no. Piper shrugs, and he's like, okay.
My favorite one was when Bret hit the second rope elbow drop, and then he asked Backlund if he quits. And then even better, Backlund didn't even say anything because he just took an elbow drop.
Right. Hart was great at reacting to the crowd. When Backlund would go for the chicken wing, the crowd would ah! And Bret would react perfectly to that.
If I remember, this was around the time where that chicken wing was like the most devastating submission in the WWE or WWF at the time. I don't know, the way people sold that chicken wing is like a thing to be feared. I remember before like the ankle lock, that was like the move that it's like, oh, if he gets that, it's pretty much done.
Because it took out Bret Hart so viciously.
Yeah, and he wouldn't let go, and he's got the legs grapevine, like you weren't going anywhere. And then yeah, people would saw like the neck being crooked afterwards. Like I can't straighten my neck. So yeah, it was a devastating move.
Well, Backlund eventually succeeds in getting Bret in the chicken wing, but he couldn't quite lock it in. So Bret reverses it and gets a chicken wing of his own. And he manages to get Backlund to the mat, and he really cinches it in. And Piper asks Backlund if he quits, and Backlund goes, ah, blah! And that's close enough for Piper. So he gives Bret Hart the win. And then Ross asked Bob on the way out if he ever thought he'd utter the words, I quit. And then Backlund says he saw the light.
And this is, I guess, the start, or maybe he's already there, the crazy Backlund.
Oh, he's there. It's just now he's, I don't know. I think he's like, I don't know what the fuck he turned into.
Well, where's the one where he would put people in the chicken wing and then afterwards he'd look at his hands? That's the one.
I think we passed that one.
Oh. But yeah, and then he's like, I saw the light, and he was walking with his chest all out.
Next up, we have Shawn Michaels versus Diesel for the WWF Championship. And then the burn notice prick gave up finding Pamela Anderson before the match. And then Diesel, he has a promo before the match, and he says he knows Shawn Michaels' game plan, and he's getting the war that he wanted, which seems to be a recurring theme with Nash. And then Big Daddy Cool came here to do one thing, and that's hold on to this belt. Let me tell you something, Shawn Michaels. Big Daddy Cool is walking down the aisle and showing the world why he's the WWF champion. Kind of flubbed there. And Michaels comes out with Jenny McCarthy and Sid, and then Pamela Anderson's with Diesel. Oh my God.
Well, as I said, as I saw her, I remembered why.
Yeah, she's pretty. They didn't leave together, so it's not that important.
Well, they kind of did.
They really didn't. Diesel held the ropes open so Pamela can leave the ring, but then Diesel just stayed and posed.
By the way, what about that cameraman just shooting like straight up, trying to get under her dresses?
He knew what he was doing. Yeah.
Like that cameraman, he knew the assignment.
So it starts off like Michaels can hang with Diesel, but then Diesel gets the first shot in. And no, he can't hang with Diesel at all. And Michaels took the most insane looking back body drop. Diesel just tossed him in the air. It looked like it hurt like a son of a bitch. And then he gets dumped outside the ring, and he falls onto a photographer. And then he proceeds to drag the photographer not so gently away from the ring. And Michaels took a fall outside the ring again, and you can see the photographer scatter like cockroaches.
I think he pie-faced him at one point too.
That was another one, yeah. He gets into a tussle with another photographer, and he kind of pushes him.
Well, I don't know why they were so damn close to the ring.
Right, there's like a 1,000 of them. Like how many different pictures can you take of the same shit?
I know, it's like, oh man, I guess that's the old times where you had to be around like that. They got ways to be 5,000 feet away to get the pictures, but the old times they were covering up the whole side of the ring like a lumberjack match.
Yeah. Well, Michaels gets Diesel to hit the ring post. For no reason, the crowd just starts chanting Sid. And then you can hear Sid scream, I'm not doing anything!
He sure did.
And then Michaels did a splash on the Diesel from the floor, and that got another Sid chant. And Diesel gets kicked in the face, and Sid goes, "Oh!" He was great. The crowd actually cheered for Shawn once, so they kind of turned it around. They stopped amusing themselves. And there was a beautiful sleeper hold spot where it actually looked like he got Diesel. Of course, he didn't. And at one point, Hebner goes outside the ring, and he's preventing Sid from interfering, but he twists his ankle. And of course, it's Hebner, so anytime a strong gust of wind hits him, he's out of commission.
I didn't even see that spot, though.
They didn't show it.
I know.
The whole match, like, Sid is just standing there not doing anything.
Well, there's the one point where Diesel is outside, and Sid starts walking towards him, and Hebner's like, "If you go near him, I'll throw you out of here." He was keeping a close eye on Sid. But yeah, apparently he was going out to check on Sid and twisted his ankle, but they didn't even show it on camera.
They didn't. So Shawn hits a sweet chin music on Diesel. He goes for the pin, but of course the referee's nowhere to be seen. And Sid throws the referee back into the ring, but it's too late. Diesel recovers. And then Sid takes it upon himself to expose the turnbuckle. And Shawn actually gets slingshotted into that same turnbuckle area, but he hits the second one instead. And then Diesel hits Shawn with a big boot and a really shitty jackknife, but he retains his title. And Sid later tells Ross that it ain't over. And then Diesel gets McCarthy, Pamela Anderson, and the two idiots to stand with him and celebrate. Later in the locker room, Michaels said that he beat Diesel and he should be champion. Sid says it's not fair. That Michaels has to pay for the referee being a pussy, and the WWF didn't have more than one referee for a title match. And then Michaels demands a rematch because he did it once and he can do it again.
And we're almost at the boyhood dream, so,
That's the next WrestleMania, actually.
I guess maybe that's why I was thinking about the whole Sami Zayn thing, because it's pretty much a redemption story, if you will.
Well, it brings us to the main event festivities, and DiBiase's team comes out, which consists of Kahama, the Supreme Fighting Machine, Tatanka, the Indian.
Tatanka's heel now, by the way, for some reason.
Yes. And IRS, who is a fake tax guy. King Kong Bundy, who is whatever he is. And then Nikolai Volkov, who I don't know what the fuck happened to him.
I don't know, but he was running weird.
Well, he's probably old at this point, old and broken down.
Well, everybody else had a normal jog out there, but when he came out, his arms are like flailing. It looks a little prissy.
He kind of reminded me of the Oddities.
Yeah.
So then the football players come out, and that's Ken Norton, Chris Spielman, Ricky Jackson, Carl Banks, Mongo, who got the biggest pop, and then Reggie White. And the NFL guys, they're all wearing shirts with LT's face on it, making them all look like dorks. And then the NFL guys and DiBiase guys, they get into a little scuffle, which the NFL guys get the better of. Main event officially begins. Bam Bam almost gets into a fight with Salt and Pepper. LT comes out to SNL music. And we see that Pat Patterson's the special guest referee. Bam Bam did his Bam Bam salt. He fucked up his knee. And LT kicked out of that.
Well, that was the weirdest moonsault.
Oh, yeah, that's his Bam Bam salt.
I remember, I don't know, there's something weird about it that time. I remember his moonsaults, but that one in particular was weird.
Which is why he fucked up his knee.
After pinning him, by the way. He pinned him off the moonsault. We got a 1 count, and then his knee got hurt.
My knee's fucked up. Yeah.
Yeah.
LT hit a jackknife, according to Vince McMahon. I don't know what he thinks a jackknife is supposed to look like, but it wasn't that. And I think Bam Bam may be the first person I've ever seen do an enziguri kick. I was thinking about that.
Yeah, you're probably right on that.
So LT kicks out of the diving headbutt as well. And that's two of Bam Bam's signature moves that LT has withstood. And then LT does 3 running elbows and then an elbow off the top rope, and he gets the win. And then LT is hoisted on the NFL guy's shoulders. DiBiase berates Bam Bam all the way to the back. And yeah, everybody's celebrating in the ring. Now, I appreciate that LT didn't do a whole bunch of football drills as wrestling moves like they would have done in WCW. Like he did a bulldog, and he didn't, I mean, he wasn't Bret Hart or anything, but no, he tried.
It was actually a pretty good match. I thought it was going to be much more offensive than it was.
It was actually better than I remember, if I'm being honest. The only thing I have a hard time wrapping my head around is why Bam Bam.
Yeah, maybe he was the safest to do it at the time. You know, like the Miz is now. Remember, he used to do like a lot of Hollywood stuff. It would have been him or King Kong Bundy,
Yeah,
which
but
would
The
have been
Miz wouldn't
way
main
less
event of
believable.
WrestleMania ahead of John Cena.
That's true.
That's what I'm saying. After watching the match, I don't have a problem that the match happened. It's just that it's the main event, and we just saw Razor, we just saw Shawn and Diesel, we just saw Bret Hart. You're telling me that Bam Bam losing to an outsider is what you want your fans to see at the end of your biggest show of the year?
Yeah, I think we could have switched the Shawn Michaels match and had that be the main event.
Which was definitely the match of the evening.
And yeah, and you have Diesel holding the title up, the fireworks, Pamela, the other lady.
Yeah, it made no sense to have that football bullshit, especially with Bam Bam. You have this pudgy fucker going against a prime super athlete. They had to change the entire fucking game that he played in for
I know he
him.
pretty much killed Joe Theismann.
Yeah, I don't know. Or if they were going to have Bam Bam versus LT, it should have been the first match of the night.
Yeah, but that's what I was saying. I can see what they were doing because he was such a big name.
Mhm.
But they were really building. It's like, this is what you're in the building for, is to see this match. And
Right.
maybe you were, but let's not have it the main event. Let's still keep, the wrestlers. Shawn and Diesel should have main evented.
I agree. Well, that was WrestleMania 11. And shortly after WrestleMania, Diesel offered Shawn Michaels a rematch. And Michaels ultimately blamed Sid for losing and informed him that he would not be needed for his rematch against Diesel. So Sid gets angry and he attacks Michaels until Diesel saves him. And Diesel and Michaels, they become friends again and they team up to win the tag team titles. And Diesel and Sid feud. I think they fight at 2 In Your House pay-per-views.
Oh, man, I need to go watch that.
Right? Sid and Michaels tease a thing, but they didn't face each other until much later. I don't know if Vader's before Sid or not. I can't remember. Bam Bam Bigelow was embarrassed, of course, after losing to Lawrence Taylor. And to redeem himself, he challenged Diesel to a title match. Tatanka turned on Bigelow during the match, so he got pinned by Diesel. And Bigelow was kicked out of the $1 Million Man's Club, and he was attacked for it.
So Tatanka went re-heel? Because he's already heel. He doubled down on the heel?
Yes.
Okay.
So Diesel saves Bigelow from the attack, and they become friends. And then Bigelow defeated Tatanka in a dark match at In Your House 2. So, the feud was really red hot.
Yeah.
And then at King of the Ring 95, Sid, as DiBiase's latest edition, teamed with Tatanka against Diesel and Bigelow. I think they lost.
This is at a house show? Or in your house?
King of the Ring.
Okay.
And Razor Ramon and 123 Kid were scheduled to face Jeff Jarrett and the Roadie, but the Kid got hurt.
That's a shame.
Yeah. Ramon ended up wrestling and winning a handicap match against Jarrett and the Roadie. And then the Roadie faced 123 Kid later and defeated him. And then Ramon and Jarrett wrestled several times. Ramon eventually regained his IC belt, but he only held it for 3 days and then he dropped it back to Jarrett. McMichael, obviously, he joined World Championship Wrestling.
As a horseman.
Mm-hmm. And then Kama did melt down the Undertaker's urn into a necklace.
Oh.
The Undertaker defeated Kama in a dark match and also in a couple casket matches, one of them being at SummerSlam. That's what ended the feud. And Taker was not able to recapture the remnants of the urn until he ended his feud with King Mabel in another casket match.
I think I remember that casket match.
Yeah.
Well, I remember it, but I was thinking, I always like Yokozuna, how he was like afraid of the casket. I think that was the most popular of the casket match.
And its size. How's he going to get in there?
Yeah, and it's like they made a new casket. It's double deep, double wide. I don't know. When I saw Yokozuna, I was like, I remember him being like afraid of the casket.
I like how they all just were afraid of the Undertaker in general.
There's that, yeah.
But yep, that is WrestleMania 11. WrestleMania 12, of course, would follow that. And that's the famous and classic Iron Man match between Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. Stone Cold makes his debut at WrestleMania and he wrestles Savio Vega. And there's others, but those are the main two for me.
Stone Cold makes his debut, not the Ringmaster?
No.
Okay. Well, that's
or at least
good.
according to Wikipedia.
Well, that's good.
I guess we'll find out. I'm pretty sure it's Stone Cold.
I'm sure it is. Yeah, because next WrestleMania, I believe that's the Bret Hart match. So he would have had to get there quick if he wasn't already there.
Right. Well, up next for us next, or up next, or Jesus.
Next up,
Next up is Halloween Havoc 96, and that took place in Las Vegas, Nevada, in the MGM Grand Arena. And it's notable for the appearance of Roddy Piper. He left WWF a month earlier. And this features Rey Mysterio Jr. versus Dean Malenko for the Cruiserweight title. They're getting back on that Malenko train, so they'll make money on this pay-per-view. And then DDP faces Eddie Guerrero, and I guess it would be for the Lord of the Ring thing, maybe? I don't know. Six faces Chris Jericho. Six would be the 1-2-3 kid. And Lex Luger faces Orn Anderson. The Outsiders face Harlem Heat. And then Randy Savage faces Hollywood Hulk Hogan for the WCW title.
Sounds pretty good. And he's 6 because he's the 6th member of the NWO, I remember.
Yes.
We're already up to 6 members of the 100 that there will be.
Right. But yeah, that's our wrestling we run.
On that note, I believe, if you agree with anything, let us know in the comments. If you disagree with anything, let us know in the comments. Don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We're on our way to 500 subscribers. Help us finish the story. And until next time, top guys,